Hello. Welcome to Natives Helping Natives. I'm Harry MacArthur here with Bob Thornton, and we have a wonderful guest today, Eric Wesel, a friend of mine for 35 years that I respect, I admire. I can't believe what his positive attitude every day is, and I just try to be more like him, and I'm not, but we're trying, and so we're going to get to hear his side of the story, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob now.
All right, Eric. I've had the privilege of knowing Eric for at least 15 years, probably longer than that, and Eric kind of tricked me. When I called him up, he has a tremendous company, Jupiter Island Pools, and they're everywhere, and they're long-standing. And I had moved to the area, and I thought, oh, a successful pool business, that might be fun. I'd never done that before. So I called this guy up, and I said, hey, I was just wondering if you would be interested in selling your company. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you come around and we'll talk about it. And he invited me to the Hobe Sound after hours. That was in the Winn-Dixie parking lot. I can't remember which business was hosting it. And I met him and we talked, and he said, yeah, just so you know, I wasn't interested in selling it. I'd like to know what yahoos are moving into the area. And I said, that was pretty clever. So Eric, a lot of people know you, a lot of people don't. Would you tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, what your family life and school life was like?
Well, hello, guys. Gee, after that introduction, I don't know what to say. Eric Wesel, I'm 59 years old. Been in this area all my life. Grew up in Jupiter Farms to be exact. Graduated Jupiter High School in '84. I thought I wanted to be an engineer. So after, but wasn't sure what college I wanted to go to. So after high school, I started going to Palm Beach Community College and started studying engineering. Got a job as a draftsman down in West Palm, and so I'd commute from Jupiter down to West Palm and work for a few hours and then go to school. And one day there was a layoff, so half the company got canned, but not me. I was a young guy making no money. So
slave labor.
Yeah, but I was okay. I was, 18 years old going to school. But I realized, I said, these folks, they've been working here all their lives pretty much and hoping for 2 weeks off a year. And then next thing you know, Friday they get called in and they're out of a job. And that was an eye-opener. It was a blessing. Now I look back, but I was like, holy smoly, I don't want to be in that kind of position. So I switched my business in college, or my major in college, to business from engineering. And I started soul searching, just kind of thinking of what I want to do with my life. I did not want to be trapped in an office and have a boss determine whether I'm going to have a job tomorrow or not. So luckily when they had this layoff, I went from a draftsman to also a blueprint runner. I would deliver blueprints all around town, which again turned out to be a blessing because I was out driving in the community, looking at trucks, trying to figure out what did I want to do. And one day I saw a swimming pool service truck. And most businesses, I could kind of talk myself out of starting one, but that pool service truck just really appealed to me. And I gave my 2 weeks notice to an engineering firm. Now the head engineer, he says, I didn't understand the term at the time, but he says, Eric, good luck. I hope I see your name in neon. I went home to my father. I said, what is he talking about, neon? He goes, oh, well, that's an old Broadway term. He says, you've become successful when your name's up in neon. Anyway, so I started working for another pool company a couple weeks later, and learned everything I could, and soon after that started my business.
And how did you start your business? You did something kind of clever. You put in
I worked for a year for a company out of Jupiter, again working Saturdays and extra, because I knew my intent was to start on my own someday, but I wanted to do it right. And so when I started thinking about how would I get my own customers, I always try to figure out what are my attributes, can I offer. And back in the day, there was a local newspaper called the Jupiter Courier. And for a few bucks, you could put a little ad in there. And so I put an ad that said, college student will clean your pool for $6. So now, most people are like, $6, what a deal. So they'd call me. I got a few calls on that. And I said, well, I am a college student. I do have experience cleaning pools, but $6 means I'll come out and clean your pool, but you got to provide the chemicals or pay me for the chemicals. But for $6, I'll clean your pool. And again, somebody that I found out early, if you return someone's phone call and then you showed up when you said you're going to show up, you'd probably have a job. And so I acquired about a couple dozen accounts like that throughout the Jupiter area. And at the time, I was making $6 an hour at the local pool place, and I figured, well, pool takes about 30 minutes, so $6 each pop. I'm making like $12 now plus chemicals. So I was living good, and I got paid in cash too most times. So, and granted, I was only 20 years old at that time.
And then how did you move to the next step from just the ad in the paper and working for the other pool company?
Well, so I started getting some more work, and I realized I didn't want to moonlight on my boss, who had given me the opportunity to learn. And it took in Martin County in those days, in Palm Beach County, you needed 1 year of experience to get your contractor's license, and they were pretty strict back then about contractor's license. So after a year, I went and I took my test. I got my specialty pool repair license, licensed by the state. And then I went back to my boss and said, I'm going to go off and start my own business. I'm putting in my notice. And he looked at me and he says, Eric, I wish you luck. I hope someday you're sitting behind the desk just like I am, dealing with the crap that I deal with. Well, it came down true.
And you didn't understand the crap at that point.
No, but years later I ran into him and he's like, Anyways, so I realized, so now here I am. I had bills to pay because I had moved out of home, and I had a few accounts, but not a whole lot. So I was like, okay, what can I do to get more work? And I remember there was a neighbor where my parents lived in Jupiter Farms that he used to be involved with pools. He was a pool builder. And so I was like, if he doesn't know what I'm trying to do, opportunity can't happen. So I went and knocked on his door. And he says, oh, well, Eric, he says, I'm just cleaning pools these days. I don't build anymore, but I haven't had a vacation in a long time. He goes, would you mind doing my pools for me for a week or two while I take a vacation? I said, sure. There you go. I got some work in the pool business. So, I grew up in Jupiter. And in those days, you went to Jupiter, double roads, down to Palm Beach Gardens, or if you'd get on the turnpike, you'd go north up to Orlando. I never even knew Hobe Sound existed. And, Jupiter Island, I knew of it, but not so much. I just kind of stopped at the Blowing Rocks park there. And anyways, this guy had his little route on Jupiter Island. And in those days, season was a big deal. There was nobody there in the summer, and they didn't have cameras and cell phones and things. So started cleaning this fella's pools, and he had neglected them. When the summer hit, he stopped doing them. The customers weren't around, so he could get away with it. So I was handed a couple dozen pools that they had really gone down south. They were green and terrible. So, he's paying me. So I started cleaning the pools, and I got them cleaned up. Well, one of the residents was home. And she came out and said, are you going to be the one cleaning my pool? I said, no, I'm just doing it for a friend. And she goes, well, I hope you're working for your friend because I want you to do my pool. Now, I was going to start a business here soon. I was already kind of started. So I'll call her, Mrs. H. And I said, so Mrs. H, I said, tell you what, when my friend comes back, let me talk to him. And I want to make sure it's okay with him. And she goes, okay. So he comes back and I says to him, Mrs. H wanted to hire me for pool service, but I told her no. He goes, no, please. Take her. She's the biggest pain in my, what. So I said, okay. So I go down to Mrs. H and I said, Mrs. H, I can do your pool. And now, granted, my biggest customer at the time was $40 a month. This woman had already offered to pay me $80 a month. So, I'm rolling in the cash now. So I tell her, I said, look, I don't have any work up here on Jupiter Island. And if I do your pool pretty good, will you promise to tell your friends and neighbors? And she said, I would love to. Well, she did. I cleaned her pool well. And years later, I still have the account to this day. It's 30 years.
I love that.
Mrs. H is no longer there, but I still do the same pool. And I've come to realize that she was very particular and she was picky, and her neighbors and friends knew that. So the word spread, and here's this 21-year-old started getting work up and down Jupiter Island.
And hence the beginning of Jupiter Island Pools.
Correct.
And it's funny when you share that, it makes me think of integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And when you went to those pools that you thought no one was home, and you did the exact same thing that you would have done if they were home, that woman happened to be home, and she saw what you did. And as a result of it, 30 years later, you're sitting here with a thriving business that's a family business. You've got who in the family's working there now?
Well, my wife, Laura, took an interest years ago, and so she's worked there. She's my comptroller. She takes in on all the money and gives some of it back to me. No, we work really well together for a husband-wife team. We're very fortunate. And she has a business background, so it works out well. And then my oldest daughter, I have two daughters. My oldest daughter, Bianca, she graduated from University of Alabama. And she was just sitting home right about the time of graduation, figuring out, okay, well, I'm graduating now. What do I do? And, things work crazy in this world. Mysterious things happen. And she happened to be sitting next to me at home in my living room when I receive a phone call from a friend of mine who was a competitor in pool business. He was just a one-man outfit, and he called me and said, I'm selling my business. Do you know of anybody who wants to take over? And I said, no, I really don't. My daughter, who had never had an interest in pool business, says, I'm interested. And I'm like, well, hold on one second. And my wife's like, no. And I said, wait. No. One of the reasons why I'm sitting here today is, doors open, you get opportunities handed to you, and you really don't know. And it's kind of scary going into something new, but if you don't try things and listen and make a couple steps, you're not going to get anywhere. And so, that's why I'm here today. Do I want to do a podcast? No, but what the heck? I haven't done many, so I'll try. And so my daughter said, yeah, I'm very interested. I think it would be very hard working for you, but if with a little bit of training, I'd love to maybe, with your help, take over this business. And we did. And so Bianca is called Bees Pools, and we had a one-person outfit. And most of these customers were in my area. Essentially, I had dealt with them in the past, but for one reason or other, they weren't my customers, but I still had good relations with them. And so Bianca learned how to run a business, and she did this for a few years, and eventually we incorporated it amongst Jupiter Island Pools, and she's in a position to take over right now.
I love that. So the next generation is coming on strong, and there's a lot of wisdom in opportunities are out there, and it is scary. It's scary to try something new. Everyone's afraid to fail. People, I was raised to believe that I was standing on a stage in a stadium with 100,000 seats, and all the lights were down, and everybody in those seats, there's a spotlight on me, and they were all waiting for me to make a mistake so they could laugh at me. But when you turn those footlights up and you see the seats, they're all empty because everyone is standing on their own stage under their own spotlight, thinking everyone's waiting to make fun of them. You make a mistake, it's no big deal. Life goes on. We make mistakes every day. So you took a chance. If it didn't work, you'd still be sitting here with a successful business. But now you have not only a more successful business, but you have your daughter in there to help you out.
Yeah, and she generally does a good job, and she's happy. having children that are happy and making an income and living their own life. And I have 2 daughters that have that. So I'm extremely blessed. But Bianca she's good with the customers. She's good with the coworkers. I'm truly, truly fortunate. No way I'm ready to give up the business. I'm going to keep on working to the day I die, and hopefully it won't be anytime soon. But she's definitely going to be a big part of the business.
So a big part of life, I always say that we make plans and God laughs. So from the outside looking in, and you and I spoke about this earlier, that we can make assumptions about people, and we can look at somebody, and I could look at Eric and his business, and he's the man about town, and he's got real estate, and he's been successful, and it's just been so easy for you without knowing your whole story. So have any wrenches been thrown into your gears?
Yeah. Both I and my wife, the last 4 years have been extremely challenging. Those who know me know that I've been fighting cancer, pretty heavy dose of cancer, and I don't know that I will ever get rid of the cancer, and it's only a matter of time before it probably takes over. But there's hope. I have good doctors, and I take each day in stride. So,
how have you maintained out of all the people that I've known that have fought cancer? I have never heard you complain. And how do you keep that positive attitude, that positive mindset? Because it has to grind you down at some stages.
Well, it does. I mean, I knew I was coming in for this podcast, and 2 days ago in the evening, I was kind of like, why do they want to hear my story? I feel like I'm doomed, and you get depressed and you have these black clouds. But you have a choice, you get up every day and you do the best you can. It's laugh or cry, and I choose to laugh. You count your blessings. You have lots of blessings around. I have a lovely wife. As I told you, I have lovely daughters. I got a local business. Through my business, I've made lots of friends. I find the more I smile, the more people smile back.
I'll put my story in here on Eric starting a business, because this goes back, I don't know, 30 years ago. And he's in here for lunch, and one of the customers said, "How'd you start Jupiter Island Pools?" And he goes, "Oh, I was up here surfing one day." And he goes, I asked a guy if I could clean his pool or something like that. And that's the way I remember the story. And it was just him being funny. It wasn't the real story, but that's how positive he is about it. And instead of saying this is how it happened, he made a joke out of it, and way back then. And that's when, and I thought, that's pretty cool. He was up here surfing. I go, I think it was different, but it was very funny. And so that's how I remembered it.
I don't believe in being a closed book. I don't believe in being very private. I'm open and friendly, and I guarantee I got customers from when I was surfing in Hobe Sound, because if someone comes up and says, "Hi, how you doing? What do you do?" I tell them. And, and I found if you smile and you talk just genuine, people want to do business with you or so. And, it's my father told me a long time ago, just return people's phone calls, show up on time, have a good attitude, treat people fair. So I do that. Besides business, I do that with my friends too,
And finding about your cancer, you had a little nagging injury from when you were young in your...
So now this is something that nobody knows, or at least none of my friends or family. Because I'm in the pool business, I've been in it since I was 21. Most people assume that has something to do with the chemicals, or drinking too much chlorine, sniffing too much acid, or whatever around the pool business. But actually, my cancer indirectly is caused by getting shot from a paintball in the back of the leg.
Wow.
Just like that. Now, so it was back when I was 22, we were doing, it was real popular back then. I think they still do it now. But you form a team, get these paintball guns, and you dress up like commando style, and you go tromping through the woods, and you may the best team win. So we did this, and it was only a one-time thing. But I probably wouldn't have been too good at war, because I kind of was the defense. I was holding down the fort, if you will. and they're all dressed in camo. Everybody looked the same. And so my team had gone out to attack, and I guess they were being overrun, so they were retreating. Well, my one buddy, he's coming at me, and I didn't know it was my buddy, so I shot him. I shot him right in the nuts, right in the
Friendly fire.
So he goes down, and he's like, "You SOB," and blah, 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 blah. So I couldn't help but laugh. Meanwhile, I'm getting shot by the other team and stuff. Our team died. However, I get up, covered in paintballs, and I'm laughing, and I have no respect for my friend who I just shot. And I'm walking away, and he says, "You SOB," and he shoots me. And it's right behind the leg, right behind the knee. Oh, it smarted real good. I mean, it didn't puncture skin or anything. And not even, I don't think it was a bruise, but boy, I remember feeling it. It really. And so a couple years later, I started forming this little cyst kind of thing there. And right in the crook of my knee. And I went to a local doctor about it, and he was like, "Oh, this could be real serious. You should need to get this looked at." And I did, and they said, "Oh, yeah, you need to go get this looked at." And one doctor after another, it led me up to Shands Hospital, University of Florida. And this tumor specialist took a look and did a biopsy, and he says, "What you got is a desmoid tumor." And this is, I guess, at that time I was, 28 or so, I guess. And he says, "It's not cancer, but if left untreated, it will lead to amputation. So we need to treat it." I said, "Well, how's the best way to do that?" He goes, "Well, the best way now is with radiation." So I come back here to Hobe Sound, and I end up going down to Bethesda Hospital in Boynton Beach for 6 weeks to get treated with radiation. And it was not a big deal. And it actually shrunk the tumor, and thought that was the end of the story. But, 15 years later, maybe even 18 years later, all of a sudden it did come back. And it started pressuring against my nerves, and it got to be a real problem. And went to the doctors again, and that led me down to the University of Miami, and they did a biopsy. And I was actually traveling at the time. They had done a biopsy, but I didn't think really anything of it. And I was traveling. I was actually in Alaska. And I received this call from my doctor, and she says, "I need your permission that I can put you in the hospital." I always get emotional when I start getting to this point. But he says, "As soon as you get back, I need to admit you into the hospital. You got this aggressive type of cancer. It's called rhabdomyosarcoma. And if left untreated, it will spread throughout your body very rapidly. So as soon as you get back, I need to start mixing up the chemo and getting you admitted and everything. I need to put you in the hospital." So what else are you going to do? So I came home and went to the hospital.
And you went down to Miami.
Yep.
And you went through the treatment.
Yeah, so this is also the beginning of COVID. So it's not an easy time, well, for anyone. But I get admitted to Sylvester Center, the UHealth down there. Great hospital, and I still go there to this day. It's they have tremendous care. But they gave me this IFEX treatment along with a few others. It's a bunch of chemos. And the doctor even said, "This is the big guns. This is if anything's going to get this stuff, this chemo will." And so I would go in for 5 days and get this chemo around the clock. And then I would get off for 2 weeks, come home, and kind of recoup. Now, this chemo, especially in this kind of dose, it knock you out. Of course, the hair fell out, but everything. The whole idea of chemo is killing all your cells in your body. And hopefully the bad cells will be killed, and this tumor will not be able to regenerate and eventually go away. But it kills the good cells too. So you spend 2 weeks recovering just so you get a few cells back, and then boom, they do it again. Did this 8 times. So I went for 6 months or so, and then they said it's working. They said the chemo's knocked back, and this just rhabdomyosarcoma looks like they said 90% dead or deadened. So my other doctor says, "Well, Eric," says, "if you don't want this to come back, probably the best thing would be to amputate your leg. We would cut your leg just above your right knee, And with some luck and in a short time, you can wear a prosthetic and you can live a normal life. Hopefully no more cancer. So that was the thing to do.
So you did it.
Yeah, it's December in 2021.
So I can share that while you were going through those treatments, I said, how can I support this guy? So I said, can I call you? I'll fill you in on what's going on in town. And you said, I'd like that, but only call me on Mondays or Tuesdays, because I'll be so sick, I'll just yell at you on the other days, which I don't think he would have done. But I would try to call him on Monday. I would call you on Mondays. And we talked through the whole time. And, you were constantly thought about, prayed about throughout the community. And then I heard, oh, Eric's coming to breakfast. And it was right here at Harry's. And I couldn't wait to see you. And I come walking in, and you're in a wheelchair and you're missing a leg. And I walked up and I hugged you and I said, you could have told me they took your leg. And you said, you're a bright guy. I knew you'd figure it out. And that to me sums you up.
Yep.
I never heard you complain. And how long after they did the surgery did you go climbing in the Swiss Alps?
Well, it was the summer after. I had my amputation in December. I eagerly started trying to wear a prosthetic. It was probably by February. And by the summer, I was hiking the mountains in Switzerland. And
it's attitude. It's the way that you've gone through everything.
Well, I wanted to get back to the way it was before. And, with this kind of stuff, you don't know if you got tomorrow. If you can do it today, try. And I've never been a person to sit still. So, yeah.
Well, it's been an incredible inspiration from the outside to watch you.
Yeah. Amazing.
When people want to feel sorry for themselves, if we open our eyes and we take a look around, and I shared with you, and I can testify that Eric did not want to do this podcast, and I didn't beg him, but it was pretty close. And I invited him. He actually listened to a few of them, and he said, what am I going to say? My story's not that good. Your story is so powerful.
So good.
I think it's that you've never felt sorry for yourself. You've just gone out there, like you said, smile at the world, and it smiles back at you. And you've carried that, and I've seen it time and time again. And the fact that you were 18 years old and you knew that I don't want to be working for a company, for 20 years, that I'm just fighting for 2 weeks vacation that they can come in, and you looked at all those trucks while you're driving around doing your work and saying, no, don't want to do that. No, don't want to do that. And it sounds like you were an outdoors guy. You were a surfer anyway, so doing pools, not so bad.
But you rationalize in everything you do, so to this day. So then, the thing to do was to go to college. And I was going to college part-time, but my heart really wasn't into it. Most of my friends are going, and, it's a 4-year thing. And so I was like, well, let me start and try this business for 2 years. If it doesn't work, I can go right back to the way I came from, Let me try this podcast today. If it doesn't work, well, then I go right back to the and you got to try things. One of the biggest steps to being successful on Jupiter Island was there was a small little mom and pop pool service or pool store. You would know it. It's called Davy Jones. This lady named Martha worked it. And so I started my business, right, 21, and going up and down Bridge Road, coming off Jupiter Island, I'd see this little mom and pop store. And I was told that they had pool service. So I assumed they were my competition, and I assumed that they did not want to talk to me because I was their competition. But, when you assume things, well, it's not exactly correct. So after going by there half a dozen times, I said, you know what? I'm going to go in and introduce myself. And it wasn't an easy thing to do. But so I did. I stopped there one day. I went in the door. She had a little pool store. This lady, Martha, I met. And I said, hi, I'm Eric. And I started a pool service here recently. And I just thought I'd come in and say hi. I didn't want to come in acting like a big shot, like I was going to take her work or anything. I didn't want to take her work. I just wanted her to know that I existed. And she says, wow. I'm glad you came in. My husband is overrun with pool service business, and we get calls every day, and I'm looking for someone to refer to. And she was a key on Jupiter Island. So along with Mrs. H and now Martha, it started coming. So you open up these doors sometimes by just trying things.
And again, it goes back to integrity. The fact that you were working for that fella doing those pools, and Mrs. H asked if you would do her pool, you did the right thing. You said, I got to talk to the guy I'm working for. And,
yeah, you don't want to steal other people's stuff. He was good enough to give me work,
But there's a lot of people that wouldn't do that. And stopping at Davy Jones.
Davy Jones' locker.
Stopping at Davy Jones' locker, right? It took guts. And they could have said, get out of here. We don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And instead it was yet another opening because you acted with integrity. And
you smile, you treat people decent, and they tend to return the favor. I got dozens of stories like that of how things just happen along the way by being friendly.
And doing the right thing. Yeah. And you start every day with nothing. You start at your pool service with nothing. So if it didn't work out and you put everything into it, what did you lose? You lost nothing because you had nothing.
So be it, right?
But you take those risks and you take those chances, and here you are with a successful company. And I think it's absolutely awesome, and your attitude is incredible.
I think you count your blessings. You wake up. Are we still going?
Yeah, we're good.
You wake up every day, and you get the choice to laugh or cry. I mean, I can't speak for everyone else, but in my case, again, I have a wife who loves me back. I got daughters. I got family who cherish me, and maybe they cherish me because I cherish them. I have friends. I'm involved in the community. The community is constantly happy to see me. These are all blessings. These are good things, and sometimes you ache and you hurt, but you.
Why don't you speak about what your wife went through, what Laura went through? See, because this was all the same time.
Yeah.
You need to put this all together, is what I'm trying to say, because this is another load on you too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's a true miracle right there. See, I'm not cured. I still have the cancer, and God willing, we'll see what happens. But it's a bit under control at the moment, and we'll just kind of take it, day by day. But my wife now, so I met her here in Hobe Sound when I was, I guess, like 22. Her name is Laura. Laura Vasquez was her main name. And she worked here at the local bank. And so I'd come in with my old ratty pool truck, and I'd say hi to her, and she'd say hi back. And one day I got up the nerve to ask her out, and she said, "Oh, thanks, but I have a boyfriend." So she didn't ask me out. She didn't go out with me, but I still was nice because that's the thing I do, right? So not a month or so later, I had a friend who he had bought a brand new nice 300 ZX. And, those things cost a lot, and he couldn't afford the payments. So he asked if I would take over the payments. I was like, heck yeah, I've been working a couple of years, starting to get a little money in my pocket. So I go driving through that bank with my 300 ZX Nissan. Laura will deny this, but
never underestimate the power of a good car.
These are facts. And so I drive through, and I say hi to her, and she says hi back. And from there, I go back to my office, and I get a phone call about an hour later from the bank teller named Laura. And she said, "Well, my boyfriend and I broke up recently. Would you still be interested in going out?" And I said, "Of course." So that's how that started there. And a couple years later, we got married and had children. So my wife and I, we've always been very involved in the community, and she has a lot of family, and we always go out and have a good time. And she's always drank a bit too much. Never got in trouble, no DUIs or anything like that, but drank a little bit too much. And it's been a problem. And but throughout the years, we dealt with it. And we're talking now 2.5 years ago, February, 2.5 years ago, she started getting the shakes, and it became apparent that there was an issue here. And her brother actually came to the office one morning and said, "Laura, I'm taking you to the doctor," because she'd put it off, refuse, and I being her husband, she ain't gonna listen to me, you know.
True story.
So her brother says, you're going. So they take her to Jupiter Hospital. Immediately, they said, we're going to admit you. And from there, things went downhill quick. As soon as she was denied the alcohol and the shakes and everything else, her liver shut down. Wow. And everything else started shutting down. And she went into a coma, if you will. And and then a family came and tried to visit her, but she was out. And this spiraled down within a few days, really, just like that. So, So there was one doctor that, well, there was a few other people that were very instrumental at Jupiter Hospital, but one said, have you talked to the liver doctor yet? And I said, no. And said, well, let me get the liver doctor over here. And so this woman walks in, and she says, well, we've studied your case, and she had met Laura and got everything figured out. And she goes, she needs a new liver. She will not live without this new liver. And we don't know if she'll live even if she gets a new liver. Which way you want to go? North, west, south? And I said, well, I'll go south. I'm connected with University of Miami and all. Now, I told you about the amputation, and that worked for a while. So for a year and a half, I was cancer-free. Okay, so this is during that period. I was cancer-free. I was doing well. Here we go. I'm up on top again. And then Laura. It's like, holy moly. So they transferred her down to Jackson Memorial down in Miami. And same thing down there. They thought she'd recover a little bit, and then she went downhill, and it just went bad to worse. And the doctors will tell you to this day that they didn't think that she was going to make it. And you need to get her in here. She has some stories. Because her father had died during COVID. She's very close to her father. Her father came to her quite a few times while she's in this company. Yeah. But we don't want you to go off on a tangent here. But 2 years yesterday, she got her liver. It started with, they started saying that we need to get her healthy enough to receive this liver. And all of a sudden, she got a little bit better, and there was this window. And the doctors are like, you need to be able to take whatever liver we get, whatever liver. And some of these livers aren't that good. There's people that had drug problems, this and that. So the first one came along, and we said, okay. And then they called us back and said, no, it was not viable, they called it. Second one came along. Third one came along. This goes on for about a week and a half. One was like they said, she's going to have hepatitis. She's going to, you can take medication for that, but we want her to live. That wasn't viable. We were down there, me and my sister-in-law, and they said, we got to get one. We think we're going to go look at it right now. And we said, well, okay. And then they called us and they said, yeah, this is it. So she went in for her operation. It's a long operation. It's a big deal, with liver, they cut your whole stomach open. And but they said within hours, they could tell that this was going to work. Wow. And within 24 hours, we could see the improvement. All of a sudden, she had color, starts coming back, and rapidly within a few months, she was out of the hospital. And of course, she had been in the bedridden since February. And this was, the end of May. She had surgery. So she comes out of there about the end of June. And some rehab and stuff. And it's been 2 years. And I will tell you right now, she is 100% good, healthy. And she has never even thought about, considered, desired a drop of alcohol.
God bless her.
She was touch and go down there for 2 months.
Yes.
This wasn't a little serious. This was on a 1 to 100. This was 110. And she was touch and go, and I remember it like yesterday. So
we were fortunate that Jackson Memorial accepted her because they didn't think that she was as bad as she was. And when they accept you, they want to cure you. Right. So she had already had a bed there. And so they couldn't dismiss her because they realized how serious she was. And there's only so many livers that go around, and there's a scale. And it's based on the need. And because of her condition kept deteriorating so bad, her need rose. So then she became the top, and that's when that liver kept coming. But her recovery has been remarkable, and her family still drinks, and she's just in that whole environment, and that's not a bad thing. But what is a total miracle is her recovery, and the fact that she has no desire, and she can be around everyone drinking. There's
Doesn't
no desire.
bother her.
No desire. She had to get that low in order to get this high. It's really, it's. So I don't drink anymore either. An occasion I want to be enticed to have one, but I realize it
not
doesn't make
worth
me
it.
feel good. And no.
Yeah, you're being supportive of her, just like she's been supportive
and
of
being
you.
on all this chemo crap that I'm on, the alcohol doesn't blend with that very well. So no.
No, it was nice the way that it worked out. Not nice, but nice that you were cancer free when the next storm hit. So you were able to be there. You were at the helm for her. She was at the helm for you. You were at the helm for her.
Well, again, I count your blessings. I prayed many a times over the years that she'd find a way to quit her drinking, and it just never happened. And this happened, which was kind of drastic. I wasn't praying for that.
Kind of drastic. That's an understatement. That's from our optimist.
Lord have mercy. But when she covered it and she came to me and I got my cancer back, she says, Eric, I wasn't there for you when you had your cancer the first time, but I'm here for you now. And she has been. She's been really taking care of me. And even if I go tomorrow, I've had this period of time of her sobriety and me and us taking care of each other. And we're like two 80-year-old people going home, sleep at 9 o'clock and go to work. And anyways, but we're very happy and we're real blessed. And, after this is over, I got family waiting for me and we're going out to dinner. And it's just,
I love it.
God bless America.
And the thing is, with your wife, beautiful, just a great person. When all of that hit and we were all praying for her, I was shocked because I couldn't even remember ever seeing her take a drink. Like it wasn't, she wasn't this fall down, you'd say, oh yeah, we expected that. I could not have been any more shocked. So she looks better than ever. And it's just so nice that you're having the time and that she's there. And we know that she's now watching the books for you because you shared a credit card story that maybe we can wrap it up with that, where she's looking at the bill and she sees these double charges.
Bring back my memory. I can't remember what I did yesterday. I know it was last time we had lunch. That was definitely
It was
on
when
my
we
mind.
had lunch.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and I can't remember. You were charged a couple of times, and you said she would have never noticed that in the past, and she was right on it. She made the phone
No,
call.
it's true. Like her best friend, who's also my secretary, and known her since she was a child, says, Laura, you're smarter today than you've ever been. And yeah, she looks at the books, catches things, and there was a charge on the credit card that every month it was kind of reoccurring, but it was like a Comcast thing, and it just didn't look too outlandish, but it just didn't jive, and we double checked it, and it was a bad charge. But she's on it. But she gets along with the fellow employees and the customers, and again, very blessed to have her, my daughter, and I have 31 people working for me now. And this is the pool service business. People come and go every day. They don't want to clean pools forever. But I am very proud to say that out of the 31 people, half have been with me 10 years plus.
That's incredible.
And a third have been with me even longer than that. So I must be doing something right, huh?
Integrity, doing the right thing when no one is watching. So if you're listening, we're looking for people to come in and share their story. Eric told us he didn't have much of a story. He obviously did lie about that, although he did say earlier that his name is Eric T. Wesel. And what is the T for?
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy. and honestly, if you just listen to that story, it is true. So if you know anyone or you are that person, and Laura, I'm calling you out right now. I want you sitting across from me and telling your story, and we'll have fun, I promise you. But people need to hear it. It's encouragement. It's natives helping natives, and that's why we're here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you, Seth, for doing a great
Yes,
job.
Seth is behind the scenes, just trying to make a couple of old guys look good or sound good. Can't
Sound
make us
good.
look good.
Face for radio.
Yeah, we do. We both have a face for radio.
Hello, we're recorded from Harry and the Natives restaurant in Hobe Sound, Florida. It's a family restaurant. My family's run it 73 years. It's an 85-year-old restaurant, and just come and see us sometimes. Thank you. This is Bob.
And we're upstairs in the Tiki Hut, so you can come in, and we'd love to have you come up and tell your story. I'm with O'Donnell Impact Windows and Storm Protection, and we do, I know it sounds confusing, but we do impact windows and storm protection. And our slogan is, and please remember at O'Donnell, it's our family protecting your family. So I promise you, if you use us, we'll never embarrass you. If you refer us, we'll never embarrass you. We get the job done right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.